Midnight Gang. Written by David Walliams. Illustrated by Tony Ross. Chapter 1. Monster Man. "Ah!" screamed the boy. The most monstrous face he had ever seen was peering down at him. It was the face of a man, but it was completely lopsided. One side was larger than it should have been, and the other side was smaller. The face smiled, as if to calm the boy down, only to reveal a set of broken and rotten teeth. This made the boy even more scared than before. "Ah!" he screamed again. "You will be all right, young sir. Please try and be calm," slurred the man. His face was so misshapen that so was his speech. Who was this man, and where was he taking the boy? It was only then the boy realized he was lying on his back, staring straight up. It felt almost as if he was floating. But something was rattling. He was rattling. The boy realized he must be lying on a trolley with wonky wheels. His head clouded with questions. Where was he? How did he get here? Why couldn't he remember a thing? And most importantly, who was this terrifying man monster? The trolley travelled slowly down the long corridor. The boy could hear the sound of something being dragged along the floor. It sounded like a squeak of a shoe. He looked down. The man was limping, just like his face. One side of his body was smaller than the other. So the man was dragging his withered legs along him. It looked like every movement might be painful. Bang! A pair of tall doors swung open and the trolley trundled into a room and came to a stop. Then some curtains were drawn around the boy. "I hope this wasn't too uncomfortable, young sir," said the man. The boy thought it was curious that the man had called him sir. He had never been called sir in his life. He was only 12. Sir was a little title reserved only for teachers at his boarding school. "Now you wait here. I'm just the porter. Let me get the nurse." "Nurse?" As he lay there, the boy felt strangely disconnected from his own body. It felt limp, lifeless. The pain, though, was in his head. It was throbbing, hot. If the feeling could be a colour, it would be red. Bright, hot, raging red. The pain was so intense he closed his eyes. When he opened them, he realized he was staring straight up at the bright fluorescent light. This made his head ache even more than before. Then he heard the sound of footsteps approaching. The curtains was whisked back. A large older lady in a blue and white uniform with a hat leaned over and examined the boy's head. Dark circles framed her bloodshot eyes. Grey, wiry hair squatted on her head. Her face was red raw, as if she had been scrubbing it with a cheese grater. In brief, she had the appearance of someone who had not slept for a week and was angry about it. "Oh, dearie me, oh, dearie me. Oh, dearie me, dearie me," she muttered to nobody in particular. In his confused state, the boy took a moment to realize this woman was in fact dressed as a nurse. At last the boy realized where he was, a hospital. He had never been in one before, except the day he was born, and he couldn't remember that. The boy's eyes drifted up to the lady's name badge. Nurse Miss, Lord Funt Hospital. "That is a bump, a big bump, a very big bump. Now, does this hurt?" She poked the boy hard on his head with her finger. "Ow!" he screamed, so loudly it echoed along the corridor. "Some light pain," muttered the nurse. "Now just let me see the doctor." "Doctor!" The curtain was whisked across and then back again. As the boy lay there staring at the ceiling, he could hear the sound of footsteps departing. "Doctor!" she barked out again, now some way down the corridor. "Coming, nurse," came a voice from far off. "Quickly!" she shouted. "Sorry," said the voice. Then there was a sound of footsteps approaching at speed. The curtain was whisked back. A young pointed-faced man breezed in, his long white coat trailing behind him. "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear," announced a posh voice. It was a doctor, and he was somewhat out of breath at having had run. Looking up, the boy read the man's name badge, Dr. Lupers. "That is a big bump. Does this hurt?" The man took out a pencil from his breast pocket. He then held one end and tapped the boy's head with it. "Ow!" the boy screamed again. It wasn't as bad as being jabbed by a gnarly old finger, but it still hurt. Sorry. Please don't report me. I've only just graduated as a doctor, you see." "I won't," muttered the boy. "Are you sure?" "Quite sure." "Thank you. Now I need to make sure I cross the I's and dot the T's. I just have this little admissions form to fill in." The man then proceeded to roll out a form that looked as if it might take a week to complete. The boy sighed. "So, young man," began the doctor in a sing-song tone that he hoped might make this boring task fun, "what is your name?" The boy's mind went blank. He had never forgotten his own name before. "Name?" the doctor asked again. But try as he might, the boy couldn't remember it. "I don't know," he spluttered. Chapter 2. Here or There. A look of panic swept across the doctor's face. "Oh dear," he said. "There are 192 questions on this form, and we are still stuck on question number 1. "I'm sorry," replied the boy, as he lay on the hospital trolley, a tear rolling down his cheek. He felt like such a failure, not even being able to remember his own name. "Oh no, you are crying," the doctor said. "Please, don't cry. The hospital principal could come by and think that I have upset you." The boy did his best to stop. Dr. Lupers searched his pocket for a tissue. Unable to locate one, he dabbed the boy's eyes with the form. "Oh no, the form's wet," he exclaimed. He then began blowing on the form to try and dry it. This made the boy laugh. "Oh, good," the man said. "You're smiling. Now look, I am sure we can find out your name. Does it begin with an A?" The boy was pretty sure it didn't. "I don't think so." "B?" The boy shook his head. "C?" He shook his head again. "This could take some time," muttered the doctor under his breath. "Tea!" exclaimed the boy. "You would like a cup of tea?" "No, my name. It begins with a T." Dr. Lupers smiled as he wrote the first letter of his name at the top of the form. "Let's see if I can guess. Tim? Ted? Terry? Tony? Theo? Taj? No, you don't look like a Taj. I've got it. Tina!" All of these suggestions firing at the boy clouded his mind, making it some more difficult for him to remember. But finally his own name came shining through. "Tom!" said Tom. "Tom!" exclaimed the doctor as if he was about to have guessed it. He wrote down the next 2 letters. "So now, what do they call you? Thomas, Tommy, Big Tom, Little Tom, Tom?" "Tom," replied the boy wearily. Tom had already said his name was Tom. "Do you have a surname?" "It begins with a C," said the boy. "Well, at least we have the first letter. It's like doing the crossword. Charper. Tom Charper." The man scribbled it down on the form. That's question one done. Just 199 to go. "Now, who brought you to the hospital today?" Are your mummy and daddy here? No, said Tom. He could be sure of that. His parents weren't here. They were never here. They were always there. For some years now, they had packed their only child off to a posh boarding school deep in England countryside, St. Willet's boarding school for boys. Tom's father earned a lot of money working in desert countries far away, extracting oil from the ground, and his mother was very good at spending that money. Tom would only see them on school holidays, usually in a different country each time. Even though Tom had travelled alone for hours to see them, his father would only often still have to work all day. And his mother would leave him with a nanny while she went shopping for more shoes and handbags. The boy would be lavished with presents upon arrival. A new train set, a model plane, or a night suit of armour. But with nobody to play with, Tom would get bored quickly. And what he really wanted was to spend time with his mum and dad. But time was the only thing they never ever gave him. No, mother and father are abroad, answered Tom. I'm not sure who brought you to the hospital today. Must have been the teacher. Ooh, said Dr. Lupus excitedly. Might it have been your games teacher? There was a man in the waiting area, dressed as a cricket umpire with a straw hat and long white jacket, which I thought was unusual, as we tend to have cricket matches in the waiting area. That must have been my games teacher, Mr. Carsey said. Yes. Dr. Lupus' eyes flickered down to his form. They flashed with panic once again. Oh dear, it only says parent, guardian, friend, or other on the form. What am I going to do? Tick other, instructed the boy, taking charge. Thank you, said the doctor, looking relieved. Thank you so much. What is your nature of injury? A bump on the head. Of course, yes, replied Dr. Lupus as he scribbled that down on the form. Now, next question. Would you say the general appearance of Lord Funt Hospital has been lower than your expectations? Has met your expectations? Has exceeded your expectations? Or has greatly exceeded your expectations? What was the first one? Asked Tom. The pain in the head made it hard for him to think straight. Oh, it's been lower than your expectations. What is it? What is the general appearance of the hospital? I've only seen the ceiling so far, sighed the boy. And how would you rate the general appearance of the ceiling? Fine. I'll put that has met your expectations. Next question. Would you say that the care you have received today at the hospital has been poor, fine, good, very good, or in fact, too good? It's been all right, replied the Tom. Sorry, but all right isn't on the form. Good then. Not very good, said Dr. Lupus, a hint of pleading in his voice. It would be nice to say I got a very good on my first week. Tom sighed. Put too good, then. Ooh, thank you, replied the doctor, his eyes dancing with delight. No one ever gets a too good. Though I worry whether too good might actually be a bad thing. Can I just put very? Yes, put it whatever you like. I'll put very good. Thank you very much. This will go down very well with the hospital principal, Sir Quentin Strillers. Now, next question. We're racing through them now. Would you recommend Lord Funt Hospital to family and friends with a heavy heart? Half-heartedly. Wholeheartedly, or very wholeheartedly? Suddenly, Nurse Meese bustled into through the curtains. "There isn't time for all your stupid questions, Doctor." The man has put his hand up to his face as though he thought he was going to be slapped. "Don't hurt me, you silly boy." "As if I would," replied the nurse, before clouting him round the ear hard with her thick, heavy hand. "Ow!" screamed Dr. Lupers. "That hurt!" "Well, at least you are in the right place for an injury. Ha ha ha!" The woman laughed to herself and almost managed a smile. "I need a station back right now. I have a newsagent being rushed here in an ambulance who managed to staple his own fingers together. Stupid man." "Oh no," replied the doctor. "I can't stand the sight of blood. Get this boy out of here before I am back, or I will clout you round the other ear." With that, Nurse Meese whipped back the curtains and stomped off down the corridor. "Okay," began Dr. Lupers. "Let me speed this up as much as I can." The man began speaking very fast. "Bad swelling. Keep you here for a few nights just to be safe. I hope you don't mind." Tom didn't mind staying at the hospital at all. Anything to miss time at his dreaded boarding school. It was only the most expensive school. It was only the most expensive schools in the country, and most of the boys who went there were exceedingly posh. Tom's parents were rich because of his father's well-paid job aboard, but the family were not at all posh. Lots of boys looked down their aristocratic noses at Tom. "I am just going to send you up to the children's ward right away. Nice and peaceful up there. You should get a good night's sleep, Porter." Tom froze in fear as the terrifying man limped back in. "Yes, Dr. Lupers, sir," he slurred. Sorry. What's your name again?" "Tom," replied Tom. "Take Tom up to the children's ward."